As you mentioned, you know that your films will keep going after you're gone, though.
I hope so.
I think so. I mean,
yes, I hope
definitely.
so.
What a joy it is to welcome Pedro Almodóvar to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Congratulations on the new film.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
So my understanding of it is it was shot on the same piece of land where Sergio Leone filmed his Westerns. Am I right?
Yeah, we use the same, location that he did like 60 years ago. I think they are now more interesting because they were just a set, decoration. Very fake. And you could see that sometimes in the movies. But now, having 60 years of wind, they are very dusty. So you can see now time passing in the set. So it was better for me, and I was happy to shoot in the same place that Clint Eastwood and Sergio Leone were shooting the trilogy of dollars.
So yeah, was that exciting for you?
Yes, because even the type of movies they create, because really Sergio Leone changed completely the canon of the Western. Between him and Ennio Morricone with the music, they changed completely all the elements of narrations. He made very long close-up. He changed it. Just the canon, everything. What we call a spaghetti Western.
Did you grow up watching Westerns?
When I discovered the genre, it was when I came to Madrid, and I was 18 years old, and then it was my only school because the cinema school, it was closed by Franco. So the way to learn, it was just to go every day to the Cinematheque, and then that was where I discovered just all John Ford or Howard Hawks Western. The class, and I was very impressed because I didn't know that could be such a great genre. Because when I was a kid, they used to play the spaghettis Western, that it was not really very good.
You were growing up under General Franco in Spain. How did that limit the films you were able to watch? What films could you watch?
Well, they always have a strong censorship, not only with foreign movies, but also with Spanish movies. The censorship was very awkward. So sometimes they didn't discover the strength of the movies, the Spanish movies. They discovered when they went to international festivals. Sometimes, it was something evil that they made because, in the three countries that they unfortunately, we have a far-right, a dictatorship, Alemania, Italy, and Spain. The movies we saw, it was always dubbed. But the dubbing, it was also a way to make the censorship. And for example, I remember when I was a child, Mogambo, the movie with Ava Gardner and Clark Gable and Leslie Howard, directed by John Ford. Then in the movie Grace Kelly, make this safari with her husband, Leslie Howard, but fell in love with Clark Gable. For the censors, it was too much for the Spanish audience. So they convert the husband in a brother.
Oh.
And they did it, but when I remember very well, when I saw the movie, we saw the movie, and we really didn't get why Grace Kelly and Leslie Howard was so furious that his sister is going with Clark Gable. So it became something very dirty and even very interesting. So
inadvertently, they had made a very dirty film.
Very, very much. There was sometimes, or for political reasons, like the movies of Costa Gabras, or just for sexuality, or for, censorship of paranoid. So they see things in the movies that you don't see. So there are many movies that they were prohibited during the Franco period. And but fortunately, we recover all of them at the end of the 70s.
But you said when it was time to go to film school, Franco had shut down all of the film schools because they were communist, right?
Yes, exactly. They say that they were a nest of communists.
Yeah.
We call in Spain red people.
Yeah.
But it's communist.
Yeah.
Because, of course, they start doing movies more critical with the regime. And they say, no, this is not going to be happening. So the best is just to close. I wanted to go, but I cannot. And then my only school, it was just, as I told you, just to go to the Cinematheque. And every day, and I could see surrealism, neorealism, the free cinema, Nouvelle Vague, the American classics. I mean, all of them. And also, I start working in the telephone company as an office assistant. Then, just to survive. Mm-hmm. At that moment, I was thinking about just to study cinema. But the thing is that with the first salary, I bought a Super 8mm camera. Yeah. And that was my school. Because this is cinema. You have to, it's chemistry. It's not like video. So I started doing not familiar movies. This is something that I was not interested. I was always narrator and storyteller. Yeah. So it was always fiction, even from 5 minutes to 70 minutes. During the 70s, I made a lot. And usually we go to the country because we were alone. We have the light of God. So I didn't need to put lights. And also, in many of the stories, there was a lot of transvestites. And then we could be in danger, if the police saw us in the street doing, just dressed like that. So many of them, I did it in the country. And with con casas deshabitadas o casas destruidas, a medio destruir.
Yeah, they were either abandoned houses or houses that were like half in ruins.
Yeah.
Y el resultado a veces se parecía un poco a las películas de Pasolini.
And the result was a little bit like a Pasolini film.
Esa mezcla de naturaleza y de algo de civilización antigua, porque las casas estaban semi-destruidas. But just in the 79, I start making a new movie. It was the first one that it was projected in regular screenings. That was in 16mm movies. The actors, they create a kind of crowdfunding, and they ask for money to hundreds of friends, and we got $3,000, and then with that we could almost buy the negative, and that was the only thing we have, and that's how during a year and a half. I can make my first movie, my first commercial movie.
When you're growing up under Franco, and there is a restriction about the films, not just that you can make, but that you can see, and it's based around this very traditionalist, this very Catholic, this very anti-communist rule. When Franco dies and you're finally able to make the art, to make the films that you wanted to make, you must have felt such incredible freedom then.
It's impossible to describe, to explain the feeling of just having access to all kind of freedom. I was so lucky to be young, to enjoy that change, because it's a kind of miracle, because it was a transition without blood. Because always, just to pass from a dictatorship to a real democracy, this is very tricky. I don't know if it's tricky, the word. It's very difficult.
Yes, yeah.
It's very difficult because still there are the Francoist people there. So we did it. We did it without blood. And immediately, the young people, and also the older people, but for the older people were more difficult than for us.
Yeah.
Because people that have already 40, in their 40s, they have so many ghosts of the old regime that really they couldn't really embrace all freedom because they were a little old to do that.
Yeah.
Of course, they felt the difference, and all we are very happy in Spain. But it was for the young people that we have little memories of the Franquism, that we can start a new life without any kind of dictatorial ghost.
Is that why your films were so free? Like, is that why your films were so progressive? That's why your films we pushed boundaries? Because all of a sudden you had that freedom?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a coincidence, but it was the perfect moment for me to start. Because they were the movie that I wanted to do. But it were impossible to do it before. I could make the type of living that I saw surrounding me. It didn't mean that Spain was full of travestites or transsexual or no. But at least in the atmosphere. The people that I used to see in Madrid. There were many like that. So I talk about that without talking about like the problem of being gay or the problem of being transsexual. No, they were part of the stories, like they were part of life. And of course, the freedom and I could be so explicit because we lived in a new democracy and we were really starving of freedom, pero que venía de una época muy oscura y donde nada era posible.
Yeah, but we were coming from a very dark era where nothing was possible.
Pero también quería decir, y en este caso tiene que ver con lo que dices, que la libertad tiene que ser una libertad pública en la que uno vive, una libertad social, pero también es una libertad que tú debes permitirte a la hora de escribir y de rodar. Porque aunque parece, por ejemplo, en Estados Unidos no existe la censura, pero existe la MPAA, que da los ratings, que, bueno, se puede parecer a la censura. Y lo que crea este tipo de asociaciones o esta especie de puritanismo en el que vivimos ahora es la autocensura. Por eso yo decía que también uno debe enfrentarse a las historias sin una censura personal, sin autocensura. But also it's true that, there is a wave of Puritanism in general in the whole world. And I include Spain. Spain, I thought that, we have an awful civil war. And even I was not born at that moment, but a country has memory and nobody wants that again. This is like a cure. So I thought that in Spain never will have a far-right party, for example. It was in France, it was in Italy, but I thought that we were cured because our civil war, that it was the big tragedy of my country. But in the last 5 years, we have a far-right party called Vox, and they are, they respect the Franquism and they declare themselves, which is incredible, that they follow the thought and the ideas of Franco.
And that must be scary to you as a filmmaker,
Yeah, no, this is because they everything they say is, they are completely homophobic, they are xenophobic, they are misogynist. Yo hasta ahora no he tenido problemas con ellos, pero estoy seguro de que si mis películas de los años 80 se hubieran proyectado ahora, habría tenido problemas con esta gente. When they see the movies on TV, the friends tell me, this is, you know that this is impossible to do it now. I prefer not to be conscious of that because I want to do what I want. And once you lost the fear, I don't want to have fear again.
So once you lose the fear, like if you once had fear,
yes, of course. Because for example, in talking about homophobic, Spain was always a very open country. Even under the dictatorship, there was an awful law, but the people in the country, they were a kind of, they were very permissive. But for example, in the last 5 years, they increased the attacks in the street, the homophobic attacks. So you see the influence of these people very clearly. I don't know if that answer what you...
No, but I know what you mean. So as a filmmaker, let's be clear. When your films first started coming out, they weren't accepted right away either. I mean, I think your films were greatly misunderstood when they first came out.
Hombre, al principio mis películas eran polémicas. Había gente que las adoraban y gente que no le gustaban. Pero eso, desde luego, no impedía que se hablara de ellas, que se pusieran en cines y que tuvieran éxito. Y después de un momento, quiero decir, como a mediados de los 80 y durante los 90, fueron muy populares incluso, digamos, en las dos Españas. En la España más reaccionaria y en la España laica y republicana y de izquierdas. Because I talk about the Spanish people. I talk very much about my origin, about the village, the little village, my mother, the neighbors. These kind of things that everybody can feel identified with that. But I remember very well, it was in 2004, when there were general elections, and I was very clearly supporting the government of the Socialist Party, against the Popular Party, that was the right. So I was very present in the media. And that was the first time that I little afraid, because they start menacing me, amenazarme.
Threatening. Threatening.
Threatening me, y incluso dejándome papeles en mi casa.
He was getting threats directly, like people would leave notes at his home, maybe even in the elevator.
Entonces, yo quiero decir, era muy popular, pero en ese momento sí que, digamos, los espectadores de derechas empezaron a rechazarme. Yo ahí noté un rechazo muy claro hacia mi persona y hacia las películas que hacía. For example, with movies like Parallel Mothers, that I talk about just these died people that are buried in the country, como en las fosas comunes.
Yeah, in common graves.
Yeah. That was a very unpopular subject. The movie was successful, but only in one part of Spain. Spain still is a divided country.
But you're undaunted by it. Like you like 5 minutes ago, you said this thing that really stuck out to me. You said it so quickly. You said, blah, 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 this was happening, and they were telling me what kind of films to make. Now I make what I want. I make what I want. That, all of those sort of restrictions, whether it be a societal telling you what you can do, the Spanish public at the very beginning sort of misunderstanding your work, political divisions which have hardened sort of back to your childhood, which are happening right now, you are still insistent that I have the freedom to make the art that I want to make.
Yeah, because, this is something personal. This is something that you decided by yourself. I really don't mind the answer. And if it's less popular or the box office is less, I don't mind. But fortunately, for example, in just taking, for example, the last short, A Strange Way of Life. I thought I forgot it. A Strange Way of Life is the encounter, the reunion of two former lovers. I don't make explicit love love-making scene. But that's because I was concerned about what the people could think in the country or here. But it was because I didn't feel necessary to do it. I prefer that they talk very clearly about, and this is stronger than to show a naked body. And I think that I don't need to be so explicit physically talking. If I need it, I will do it again. But because I did that during the 80s and the 90s and I made 22 movies, and quiero decir, me he desfogado en todas esas películas.
Yeah, and I've gotten everything out of my system in all of those films.
So I don't need, for me now it's much more attractive to be austere, retrained, because this is new for me as a storyteller. And yes, I feel free, absolutely.
So when you choose, I think about the people you work with. I spoke to Banderas about you when he was here at TAFE a couple of years ago.
For Pain and Glory.
For Pain and Glory. And it made me think, you worked with Antonio Banderas over and over again. You work with Penélope Cruz over and over again. You have these actors that you work with time and time again. Is there a special quality that you look for in an actor? Everything that you just described to me about the way you feel about your films and the way you want to make your films made, do they have to understand something about that spirit in you?
Oh, yes, they understood. Antonio since the beginning, because he started working with me. He just arrived to Madrid, and I met him 2 months after, and the first thing he made, it was Labyrinth of Passion. And during the 80s, that was 82, during the 80s, we made 6 movies together. So he knew very well what I wanted from my characters. And he did it very well, because sometimes, when he was there, the passion and the desire, it was in his eyes, in Antonio's eyes.
But do all these actors you work with over and over again, do they have a special quality?
Yeah, they did. I don't know if they changed with other directors, but not with me. Penelope and Antonio, that I used to work with them after. For me, they behave with me exactly the same. But I try to offer them different characters. And for example, in the case of foreign actors and actresses like Tilda Swinton for Human Voice, or Pedro Pascal and Ethan Hawke, they really, put themselves in my hands. And I didn't have the feeling that it was something banned or something prohibited. And they understood very well what I asked them. In the case of Pedro Pascal, that it was the warmer character, he understood very well what I demanded from him, and he did it. And from Ethan, the same. They were very generous. They 3 of them, Tilda, Ethan, and Pedro, they are not the, I don't know how to say, conventional Hollywood actors.
Yeah.
They are very peculiar type of actors. Tilda, can be asked by someone to go to see and to film a movie in Colombia. And she goes there. They are very adventurous.
But Pedro Pascal has said that he was inspired by watching your films when he was a teenager. So what does that
told me that.
What does that mean to you?
He told me that Pedro was doing Narcos, and there were also 4 or 5 Spanish actors that I work with. And they send me some videos where they were working and hanging around. And usually Pedro was with them. And Pedro say, "Hello, Pedro, this is the other Pedro. And I grew up with your movie. I'm such a big fan. I really would like to work with you." These kind of things that make me feel older, because many people grew up watching my movies. But he said that. And then when the following moment when I was in New York, in the theater, he was doing King Lear with Glenda Jackson. It was the last play that Glenda Jackson did. Then we met each other. He came to my hotel and we were talking a lot. So we were like friends. I mean, we only see each other once, but we felt very close. And it was true that when I sent him the script, he was very enthusiastic, and only he asked me to wait because that week he was starting shooting The Last of Us. He didn't know that he became such a big star after that. And so I wait for him, and also because Ethan has another one movie. And we start in July of last year. Yes, I think no, he was a real fan. I mean, someone that really are very, understand very deeply my work. This is something that I felt. And I was very happy to make this with Pedro because he demonstrates in this short that he's very versatile.
Yeah.
I suppose that now he's doing Gladiator, which is also a very male epic movie.
Yeah.
But he can make a comedy movie, a musical movie.
Yeah.
I know many other different types of characters.
You mentioned Pain and Glory there, and you mentioned that these people are starting to grow up with your films. And I'm very grateful to you for telling me a little bit about the story about you coming up as a filmmaker under Franco, and and it's fascinating. Like, it really is.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I did hear that, so Pain and Glory sort of loosely based on your life, loosely
Yes.
based on your life. I heard something about you I wanted to ask you about. I heard that you are like very resistant to anyone ever doing a biopic about you, like a biography about you. Is that true?
It's true. I prohibit. I said to my brother, to my assistant, that I feel very confident. Yes. I never write, and they ask me a lot of time from the editor companies to make a lot or self-biography or someone write a biography. But I always say no. And
Why?
I bore myself. I'm like a subject. So when I had to talk about, and just the thing that I had to talk about all my life, all my life is my movies. And I can explain my life during these 22 movies. And also because I hate the biopics in general.
You don't like biopics?
No. I will go to see Maestro again anyway, because, I'm curious. But, they are a very good vehicle for the actors because they have all the reference, they can imitate, because they have many images from the real character. But usually they are, I'm talking about the very mainstream biopic.
J. Edgar Hoover.
Freddie Mercury, Elton John.
Yeah.
Nat, for example, Neruda by Pablo Larraín. Neruda was a biopic, very, very original, very strange, and very interesting. Also, another, when Pablo Larraín made Jackie, also, that is something different. That type is because you can compare with the others and nothing, it's completely different. But it's also, it's like that I don't want the idea that people is talking about me and I'm not there. And if I'm there, I'll say, stop talking. But if I'm dead, I couldn't do it. So I don't know. I don't think about posterity.
Yeah, you don't?
No, I know that when I made movies, and the movies live more than you. I'm an atheist, and I really would like to believe in something else, but I don't. This is a gift that you have, that someone gives to you, but I don't. I don't think about posterity, unfortunately, and that makes me feel bad because it's not nice to think that sometimes this life stop and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that idea makes me feel so. This is something that I didn't understand yet.
Yeah.
I feel like a child. in
Well, that's what
front of the mortality.
That's what Del Toro told me. He told me that he makes films because he's an atheist. He told me that Guillermo del Toro told me that he makes films because he's an atheist, because he's trying to find that acceptance.
Because, I really would like to believe. I mean, I was educated with Catholic priests. I really paid attention of what they say because I wanted to have faith. But faith is a gift you cannot get by yourself. Because it must be, I mean, my family, for example, they are practicant Catholic.
Oh, yeah?
My sisters, not my brother, my sisters, and my mother. And, it's for them, it's a big support. And also there is a kind of word around the saints, the Virgin, that practice of religion that is very beautiful to watch. And I support that this is an inner support, very strong, that I would like to have, but I don't have it.
Well, as you mentioned, you know that your films will keep going after you're gone, though.
I hope so.
I think so. I mean,
yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of mentality are going to watch them, but it's true. It's true. But even that, even that I made a work that survived, I don't think in surviving myself.
I understand. Yeah. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to have this conversation.
Oh, no,
with us today.
It was a pleasure.
It was a real pleasure for me as well.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you to the
so
two
much.
of you.